What's up? This is Austin.
Aloysius here.
Kenneth here.
Again here.
Hey, you guys have definitely been through a lot of different Scrum and Agile teams in your work experience so far. So how has the process been in terms of, for example, like forming, joining a new team or leaving your current team? I'm just curious.
Yes, it's not an easy thing to do, and each companies or organization will do it quite differently. Each industry do it quite differently. So it's always a challenge. It's always a challenge. It's not an easy walk in the park.
Speaking of challenge, I'm just curious, how do we then try to face up to this challenge? Like, what are kind of things that maybe we have experienced when we, example, maybe try to split teams?
Yeah. So from my experience, I can recall is this is one model, one business model. So, for example, the IT group of that organization will look at each contracting. It's a contracting model. So, okay, I'll hire the best business analyst from this company. Then I'll hire the best developers. For example, for a certain programming language, like if you're developing web, okay, JS, Node, and whatever. And then I'll hire the best tester, each with its own contract. So I've seen that this is quite a problem because it will really hinder the developers. If you're looking at the Scrum Guide 2020, the developers, to make them like cross-functional, because according to the contract, you yeah you need to do the testing only and not developing and not, for example, customer facing, which business analysts do. So this is kind of a challenge actually on how the agile team or the scrum team matures to being self-organized or self-managed. They are actually doing some kind of a mini waterfall in their in the team itself. Like there's a lot of handovers. So that's one aspect that I've seen in a few organizations that I have been. So how about the others? Can you share something, or do we face a kind of similar
Yeah,
scenario?
I think for me, well, I think the best kind of experience is to have a good mix of people with experience in product and also technical expertise. So sometimes you are technically strong, but actually you don't have enough experience in the organization. So need to have a balance of these two factors and also the right mix of skills. As you know, we try to be cross-functional as possible, but I think in reality it's a little bit harder execute, but we try to have the right mix of skills in the team to deliver the piece of work. I think that is the key. What about managers? Will that be a factor in your consideration?
What
Should
kind of manager?
managers be within the team? This is where I'm a bit confused.
Oh yeah, I think it depends on the organization. I think some have managers they are
Yeah,
still contributing technically.
SSPO
Some are
or something.
people's managers.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah. Julie, you wanted to say something just now?
Yeah, I'm also just curious, when you mentioned about um multiple different people coming in, example from different companies, like what Kenneth was sharing. You have the best tester, best developers. And then there's also quite an interesting topic that was brought up on not just purely technical skills, but also looking at maybe more on the other skill sets, like maybe some soft skills and all that, which got me quite curious because in the Scrum Guide itself, they don't really mention anything about or whether they're soft skills or technical skills. I'm just curious, what other things should someone consider other than purely the technical skills, example, testing, code development, etc.?
I think product knowledge, I think domain knowledge or product knowledge. I think that could be quite a factor as well.
Mm. Yeah. And also the what I also believe is that the the technical people should also need to possess or at least have some kind of being a business savvy. It's not just the technical, because normally if you're just looking at the technical aspect, you tend to do those that are very challenging probably, or those that are really of your interest but not really the interest of the business. So hence you need also to have this kind of business awareness, and it's a difficult. Yeah, you rarely can. I mean, for me, in my experience, it's very difficult to find people with this kind of right balance between technical and being a business savvy person. So yeah, this one can be also needed to be considered when you form a team or if you need to split a team. So make sure that this kind of people are present, are quite represented in a team, like the business side and the technical side. Do you find also that kind of constraint in your respective organization? Because I find it quite often when I look at my experience in dealing with this kind of Scrum teams.
What's the constraint you mentioned? I mean, like
And the constraint
what
is that it's either people likes just to do programming, then they think that okay, this is a feature that is really will be helpful because because this is technical and this is new technology, but then it is not really being used, and the feedback actually is quite missing from the end user. So they, that doesn't think much about how it is being really used at the end user side, especially if your enterprise is quite big. So your tendency is just really to have this kind of bubble when you're only looking at the technical side aspect, that okay, this is much more easier, so that will be prioritized according to. So there's kind of disconnect. So
okay. Yeah. Yes, I think I think this might be also the coaching as well as you need to have like some people focusing on the bigger picture perhaps.
yeah,
Of the
so this
product.
is why I opened the discussion wherein in this organization, although not really prevalent, but at least a few organizations wherein the contract model is that okay, I'll get the best tester from this company, then
Oh,
I'll get the best BA, but then they tend not to do being a cross-functional person, a T-shaped engineer, because they'll be breaking their contract. So how they are being appraised or something. So yeah, I mean, what can you do about that? If you're really just looking at the business side, yeah, it's not possible if you're really looking at the legal aspect of how the contract or how the team is being formed in the first place.
yeah, I
So
think
maybe that's one
contractors.
perspective that I am offering in this forum, wherein it's not really the fault of the people, but it's really about their employment contract. Right? So,
I think this one is a more of a, you probably have to, especially for contractors. I realized that if you didn't set the targets very well, like for example, I think one experience I have is you set their targets as the number of tickets closed. They will just focus on doing that and
yes,
skip
or the
certain
number of
process.
yes.
Yeah, or
For
not
example,
making
if
it
you're a
productive.
tester, then you'll just say, okay, the number of bugs being found and not escaping after your, you can say, module test or
Yes.
system integration test, and not going to the production test. So that's the responsibility, for example, of a tester, but it's the developers on that doesn't care about the numbers because yeah, they're not the testers. So that's the challenge actually when you try to form or split the team. So in my opinion, it's a very bad aspect of, because some of the IT department hire people or hire this or will subscribe to this kind of business model. But I'm not sure in your respective company if it's being like that. So in essence, I don't really believe, or I don't, yeah, it's kind of hard really if you're much of your development team that or the developers are contractors, and what is being hired as internal staff are just the product owners and scrum masters for most of it. So this is kind of hard if you're, I mean, I will not
Yeah.
recommend to form a team of something like this.
I think it's important for like contractors to be uh I think the key thing based on my experience is for them to be integrated to the team as much as possible, and also sharing the common vision. Right?
Yeah,
So
sharing the
it's to
common
be
vision,
like
yeah,
not like contractors, not to be
or
treated like
or or at least
just like
pursue some new interest, or just instead of just being a tester or pure developer, then they can have this
yes,
opportunity maybe to be even like a scrum master or product owner.
yes.
But it's really a challenge if your contract or your appraisal is being anchored to your job description when they offered you.
Yes, I think that's another thing that organization probably need to factor as well. It's
Mm,
what's the goal of the team, or yeah. Do you
yeah.
want to use tickets, or do you want to achieve the business goals? Yeah. I I have to think of another issue. Have you encountered have you when if you're involved in decision of forming teams, right? Do you do you do you like come to a scenario where you think these two people might not interact very well? Or and then you try to avoid putting them together, or do you want to put them together because forming like the Tamil model forming storming, then you'll be
Ah,
performing, right?
yeah.
Mm.
So what do you do in such situation? And it's, yeah, or especially I
Well,
think sometimes people wants to get out of teams, so that's that's another scenario. I'm not sure if you
mm,
face that. Yeah.
In terms of specifically when maybe example two members of the team, I wouldn't say that they're always at loggerheads, but I would say they have very opposite perspectives of what they view of, for example, a ticket, how it should it be done, or why is the customer doing it this way, we should be doing it this way. Yes. But I think more importantly, when we do have these kind of things happening, I think it's just part of human interaction. So at the end of the day, it's about trying to understand perspectives. And that's where sometimes, I mean, it's normal to have your own thoughts, but at the end of the day, sometimes we need to understand each other's perspectives. Why you have perspective A, why you have perspective B. And at the end of the day, if eventually person A still refuse to see person B's perspective, and if person B refuses to see person A's perspective, there can be a few ways to go about that I've faced before. So it can be either using influence from the close friends or colleagues, because that is the power of human human interaction. Um, or if worse come to worse, where it gets very how do I say, where there is the tyranny of the urgent. I hope I got the phrase correctly.
Mm.
Then yes, in a sense, we need to step I need to step in and say, hey, yes, I understand there are different perspectives, but we need to get certain um items delivered. So yes, let's agree to disagree first. Maybe put it at a later time to discuss again how can we deal with this, or how should we have move forward with this.
Yeah. Tyranny of the urgent might not be a good phrase to use. Maybe it's like we have a time box and something like that. Yeah. Or yeah. So I based on my experience, I think behavior alignment takes a long time. Some people don't react because we are dealing with people don't react very well with disagreements or opposition to your idea. It will take time to align their behavior, and I think if it's too disruptive, then yeah, and it takes too much effort or time, then perhaps not so good idea to put these two people in the same team, for example. Yeah. I think at a point where it seems like it feels personal, and I think that's my experience. I think. Otherwise, I think a bit of sparks might be good. Yeah, for open communication.
Yeah, I agree. There's always will be some kind of a degree to kind of disagreement. Yeah, but yeah, most of the time we are professional, or yeah, we're hiring professional, and yeah, we will have this kind of productive dissent about this. But I don't, I don't, I rarely see about. I mean, a team, or I haven't really seen. No, maybe the better word for that is rarely seen a team really following the Tuckman's model, especially with the storming pattern. What I've seen instead is yeah, just to feel it out a little bit, but and then you'll find, okay, where is your position, or how's your perspective, and how each one of us will, yeah, will try to take turns on listening, and especially with our last topic about introvert and extrovert. So thinking about how to deal with this kind of um, yeah, temperament, or yeah, being, or what you can say, your character, and the team dynamics as well. So it's all about, yeah, making sure that your team is a better way. But the challenge is nowadays, especially with the technology that we have, I think it's kind of abused that we are working remotely, and teams are not really, let's say, taking lunch together. As simple as that. But that's what is currently happening. It's a lot of Scrum teams.
I think
I think it sounds like ultimately you need a skillful Scrum Master. Yeah, to be able to enable some open communication. Yeah, within the
Hmm.
team.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. How to this how to do and make it quite informal, because if it's always like formal, then there's a little bit of, you can say, resistance to being much more open. So that's why having together meals and just talking with small talks, like where are you from, and what's your what's your hobbies, something like that, can easily be lead to a gate of a better relationship with each of the members of the Scrum team.
yeah, I think circling back round to Kenneth's sharing regarding the Tuckman model and why it doesn't feel like it's so obvious when people are in storming mode these days. Could it be that we live in a world that is too politically correct for people to show their storming side?
Mm, not really, not really. As long as the team is not really under duress or pressure, then it's fine. But if people are always under pressure and you don't really understand where's the direction, or then probably that Tuckman model's storming stage will happen. So hence, the team needs some kind of direction. So maybe it should be coming both from the Scrum Master and a product owner. So both of these two specialty roles in Scrum needs to work hand in hand to make sure that the direction is sensible and achievable, and it's just not out of the air. And they can, each of the developers can contribute, and the product can really be they can be proud of the product because it's helping out some organizations or some communities. It's not just always making about money. Of course, it's part of that, but other than that, they can be proud of the product.
I think, Austin, your question is maybe because we've been doing pretty well as a Scrum Master or Agile coach. That's why we prevented storming and yet have open communication. No. So I think the key to this is for the storming part. Based on experiences, usually it's initiated by strong people with very strong characters. Yeah, so skillful Scrum Master will be able to prevent most storming. So hopefully it will transition straight to performing because of open communication and some respect within the team. Yeah, so on and off there might be storming but because of strong characters, but usually if you instill the right culture within the team, when a new joiner comes and stirs out a storm. So when new joiner comes, usually you go back to forming a little bit again. Yeah, stirs out a storm. I think the group will try to influence the culture for the new joiner, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So so I think that's quite this topic is quite hard to really digest because there's nowadays it's kind of a different. It's a lot of, you can say, business models, and a lot of industries or domains are now being applied with Scrum. Last time it was just software, now including what's this, hardware, and even like marketing. They also said, okay, we can do Scrum, some aspects of the Scrum. So hence it's quite challenging really to find what's best on how to form a team. So the key word here is always to try something small. If it works, then it works. Then if it's not, then try to adjust as soon as you, and then always try to do some kind of retrospection and try to improve every time. You feel that it's not moving, or it's not you're not getting the best out of a Scrum team.
Yes, inspired, but totally agree. I think if it doesn't work, we just experiment changing team members again. I think that's a good point.
Okay, so anything else to add? Chilin and Aloysius, Austin?
No, I think I'm
Okay.
good actually. It's been a very eye-opening session for me, and I think there's a lot of information here to take back and digest over a period of time, so that I can understand what it's like to either go through splitting or team formation a little bit better.
Okay. Yeah, agree.
Okay,
So
then,
I
signing
think
off for
that's it
today.
for this session. So thank you very much for having us, and see you on the next one.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye bye.